uh, having time while children are occupied, might as well get started.
Yeah,
So, did you say you have something you'd be
yeah, I mean,
getting coached on?
if no one else wants to, um, I was thinking about on Wednesday. So Wednesday was my second week of tutoring.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I knew the first week would be kind of the first week is always hard to adjust to anything. So I was like, oh, it's gonna be fine. And then when I had to oh yeah, I have to check my email on Tuesday night and see check my Zoom and see who's signed up. And then Wednesday I just felt like, oh yeah, I have to get my books out. I have to do this again. And it's like the smallest school related job you could possibly have, pretty much. But it still is like a change to your schedule, to my schedule, and additional responsibilities. And I think the thing too is that I'm very I have to be on Zoom at the time that it says. Like I can't just slide in a few minutes late because they might they can't be waiting for me. So I think that has just been more stressful than I thought, because I've done it before and I thought it would just be like, oh, it'll be fine. But I don't know. This year it just feels like I I I don't want to dread Wednesdays because of that. Because it's really not that big of a deal. And at the end of the day, I always think that was a busy day, but it was fine. It all worked out. I was able to get on all my calls, talk to all the students who show up. And but at the beginning of the day or the night before, especially, I'm like, I don't want to do this.
So what do you think is making it like not, oh, it'll like you thought it was gonna be, oh, it'll just be fine. And at the end of the day, it is like, oh, it was just fine.
Mhm.
But like in the middle, what do you feel like is not like fine about it?
I think it's the feeling the I think it's feeling the time crunch or the time pressure to I find myself thinking I don't like being on a schedule. But that's not really true, because I like being on a schedule. I just don't
Okay.
like being on somebody else's schedule. I like the schedule I make. And technically I did make this schedule, but it's a schedule I kind of had to do based on what works for the students. So yeah, I think it's the time pressure or feeling like I can't be late that stresses me out, I think is the main thing.
So when you're thinking like I can't be late, and you have how many sessions every day? You have 9 o'clock,
5,
10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 6:40, 6:30.
6:30. Mhm.
I know them. Hey.
Yay.
So you have 5 sessions every Wednesday, and your additional responsibility is check your email the night before and see, and like make sure you have your books.
Mhm.
Um, is there anything else that like is
Um,
required like in that job description?
I always, at the end of the day, send an email to the full-time faculty telling them who showed up and who didn't.
Okay.
Um, and then talking to students, during the tutoring times, which I actually enjoy that part. Like if a student comes on, I always, enjoy talking to them and trying to help them. So that part is okay, but it's the stuff that yeah, the Tuesday night stuff. And then, I don't get done. I think another thing that's been bugging me is it it interferes with me being able to walk in the morning or in the evening, because I have to be on, at 9. And so it's hard to walk before that. And then now it's getting dark earlier. So by the time I'm done by 7:30 or 7, um, it's getting dark. And so I think I'm looking ahead and going, I'm not going to like this, because how am I going to walk on Wednesdays? And I'm, blah, blah, blah,
Okay. Okay.
catastrophizing.
Catastrophizing, yeah. Okay. So your job description is you check your email the night before, which do you have to do that, or is that just you wanting to know what's up?
I don't really have to do that. I mostly like check the Zoom registration because they have to register for the tutoring. So just to see if somebody's registered. And honestly, the first week no one was registered at 9. So we did go for a walk and I just got home by 8:55 and got
Okay.
on, and I knew no one was going to be waiting for me probably.
Okay.
The second week somebody had registered, so I didn't feel like I could do that. So I didn't walk. And so it kind of made me feel like I was missing that. Probably could have, but I wasn't so sure. I didn't want to be late.
Right. Okay. Okay. I was wondering if those are like kind of two separate things, but I see how they could relate to just like, I don't want to be late both times.
Hmm.
So that is different than what you said before though, because you said I can't be late
Uh-huh.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
Um,
mean, because technically it's, the students can be a little late, like they show up a minute or two late, and it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I feel like, I should set the example and be there when they get on or whatever.
so you have 5 sessions and you send an email and you just need to have like your books and tutor. And if you
Oh,
think I
you
can't be
froze.
late, and what? You froze,
Hmm.
but I can still hear
Still
you.
frozen.
I can't, I'm not frozen for me, but your video is frozen. I don't know. Danielle, are we frozen?
Um, Katie, you're fine.
Okay. So I think maybe mom needs to move closer to internet,
Yeah,
but I
hers
don't know.
is just a black screen for me.
Okay.
Sorry. I don't know. You froze, so I turned my
Okay.
Wi-Fi off. So hopefully.
Oh, okay. Now you're back. I think it was
Okay.
your internet.
Okay.
So if you're thinking I can't be late, do you just feel like pressure or how does that make you feel?
Um, yeah, I feel um pressured and like, yeah, I guess that's the best. Yeah, I feel pressured to be like, everything is more rushed and more of a big deal because there's this pressure to be on time and to, make everything happen at the certain times of the day. Probably, yeah.
Um, do you think that's more like pressure or more like stress? What's it feel
Um,
like?
I don't feel like it's as much stress like anxiety, or it's just this, yeah, feeling of like pressure that I have to be on much more of a strict schedule than I do otherwise. Otherwise, our schedules, it's give or take 5-10 minutes, no big deal. But that's like this pressure to be on time.
So, when you're feeling pressure, you said you feel like really rushed, like everything's
Hmm.
um, like outside of that time is still rushed.
Hmm. Yeah, I just feel like the whole like the morning is like much more like I have to like hurry up, hurry, 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 and then throughout the day. Um, I mean, this year I've remembered and I've set alarms, but one time I totally forgot to check a Zoom thing until like 10 minutes late, and
Okay.
no one had registered, thankfully. But um, there's just this feeling of like, um, trying to pay attention to that all day long. It's distracting from, I'd rather just be playing with the kids, or I'd rather just be, not so worried about this other thing that's always kind of looming in the back of my mind that I have to, oh yeah, I have to do that. I have to do that. And maybe it'll become more like routine again this year, but I kind of had trouble with this last year too.
Okay. So you feel rushed, you kind of catastrophize of like, we can't walk, like, and you're probably like your upper brain is like, well, it probably would have been fine because I made it the week that no one was registered. But like, you just feel the
Right.
pressure and you feel the rush. And so you don't go for a walk, and then you worry about forgetting to log on, and you feel distracted by just like that worry in the back of your mind that something is happening. Is
Mm-hmm.
there anything else that you're like doing externally?
It probably makes me like, I know on Wednesday I was more grumpy about like, oh, there's probably going to be traffic too, and that'll just make everything, even worse. And what if there's an accident and then I can't, and of course Jeff's like, well, you can do Zoom from your phone. I'm like, I don't know how to get on my work Zoom from my, and I could figure it out, but just like I tend to be more easily frustrated and negative, see things more negatively than I would otherwise if it was just, oh, it's just, regular day. I'm like, oh, I'll just work it out, but I feel like I get more grumpy and negative about things when I feel pressure to be, on time.
Okay. And is there anything that you avoid doing?
um let's see, what do I avoid doing? Can't think of anything. I mean, I guess technically I avoid getting up earlier so that I could go for a walk earlier. So that's,
Uh-huh.
I guess, technically something I do avoid because I feel like I shouldn't have to. But if I were going to work at school, I would be getting up much earlier. And so I guess I do avoid just getting up a half an hour earlier or 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it would take to go for a walk beforehand. And going
Okay.
to bed earlier and all of that, adjusting my sleep schedule.
So you tutor on Wednesdays, and this is the second week so far, and you have 5 sessions throughout the day on Wednesday, and you just have to have your books and tutor people and send an summary email at the end of the day. And what you're thinking all day is, I can't be late. So then you feel that pressure. So you feel rushed, even if it's not close to that time necessarily, or like you feel rushed beforehand. You don't let
Yeah.
yourself go for a walk because you're catastrophizing. You
Mhm.
worry about like that one time you forgot to log on, and like, what if that happens again? And what if there's traffic? Um, what if everything goes wrong, right?
Right.
So you're more distracted, and you avoid getting up earlier to solve the walking problem. So the result that I see is I don't allow myself to enjoy my time. What do you think about
Mhm.
that?
Yep. That's probably true because um there's nothing inherently bad about any of the things I have to do. It's all very manageable, but it's creating the extra pressure about the whole thing that I don't enjoy it as much as I definitely could, for sure. Mhm.
One thing you didn't mention is like but it's kind of just the running throughout it is like you doubt your ability to show up on time, like without like
Mhm.
feeling a lot of pressure and rushed.
Yeah.
Like you don't trust yourself of like, well, if I'm calm, I'll show up. Like,
Right.
it
Right.
seems like you're kind of like using the like pressure as like a reminder almost of like, why do I feel so stressed? Because I have to get
Mhm.
on it. Like, is that
Mhm. Yeah, that is kind of true. Like if I if I relax, it's almost like, well, if I relax too much and I'm in the moment of what I'm doing, then I'm gonna forget to do this thing. So like, oh, that time I forgot was I was just so having so much fun with the kids, or I was having lunch, or I forget, I don't even know what I was doing. It's just
yeah.
playing with the kids, but I was just too in the moment and I was enjoying myself too much and I forgot. So now I have to be like, laser focused about this and put pressure on myself so that I'll remember or something. Yeah. Mhm.
Mhm. So I'm curious if you think there's a way that you could like feel totally relaxed and show up on time. Like what
Mhm.
happened when nobody was registered? Like, were you feeling rushed, or were you like, I'll just go for a walk and I'll get back at 8:45, 8:55, no big deal?
When nobody's registered, I'm like, it's no big deal. I'll just
Okay.
get on. I carry my laptop around with me, do whatever I need to do, because if somebody gets on, I still can let them in the waiting room and I can go sit in my seat. But when I know someone's registered, then I'm like, okay, someone's going to be waiting for me. So I have to be like ready and professional. And I can't just be like coming in from a walk all hot and sweaty, acting like I'm not prepared. And so that makes a big difference. Yeah.
So what are you thinking when somebody is not registered? You're like, it's no big deal.
Mm, yeah.
So
It's no big deal. I'll get on and wait my 10 minutes and be done.
So do you usually still like get there on time though if someone's not
Oh
registered?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Always. I always do. Like I always, except for that one time, I always, start the meeting like 3 to 5 minutes early and carry my laptop around. And yeah, it's funny because no one checks on me. My boss could get on the Zoom with me and see, are you here? And check on me, but she never does. And so I just do it. It's all on my own. And I'm never
So
late to
interesting though
those
that like
meetings.
you're never late, whether you're putting pressure on yourself or you're not putting pressure on yourself. So why don't you trust yourself to just like, do you feel like you're still feeling rushed? It's just so interesting. You don't feel rushed when someone's not registered, but you still show up on time. But if someone is
Right.
registered, you're like, I'm not sure I'm going to show up on time.
Right. And I'm so pressured and rushed. Yeah. Yeah,
So
that
it's
is
just like
very
not
interesting.
matching up.
Mhm.
What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
I think it's the other and these are students who don't even know me. Like they are not thinking like, if she's not there on time, I'm reporting her or something. They don't even know me. They are usually a few minutes late themselves. So, and like I said, my boss is not checking up on me. So I think it's just this thing I do to myself of like, if someone else is expecting me to be somewhere, or like I was talking when I was getting my hair done this morning, we were talking about, certain jobs, like as a nurse, I think I felt like, well, you can't just be late as a nurse because someone's expecting you to take over their patients and you have to get report and you can't just show up 15 minutes late. So I think, and then teaching was kind of the same way. Like you can't just slide in and be all like, because the students are like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So for the respect aspect of it, I think I've always felt like I had to be on time. So I think I'm carrying a lot of that maybe over into this, which is a very different situation because it's not nearly that much pressure, really,
Right.
real life.
Which you are thinking when you think there's going to be no one there. But if there is somebody there, then that's when you're like hanging on to everything of like, the students are going to be waiting for me. The other nurse that I'm taking over for is going to be waiting for me, and like,
Right. Right.
putting a lot more
Yeah.
pressure. But it is so interesting that like you show up on time either way, right? You have your alarm set, like, um,
Yeah.
how many alarms would it take to set for you to feel like my brain doesn't even have to engage about this? The phone's got it. It's fine. Like, how many alarms would it take out of curiosity?
Well, I mean, I set one alarm at 12:45 because that's the one that I tend to forget, is because I do 9 and 10 and I remember those because it's first thing in the morning, but then I get busy with lunch and everything. So I set one at 12:45, um, just to remember that time, because once I do that one, then I will remember the 2 o'clock one. And then I don't worry about the 6:31 because I know I have to eat dinner and then it's going to be time for that. So I really only set one alarm, and that
Okay.
is
Okay. So if you set more alarms, do you think, like, do you think that would change the way you're thinking about it at all? Or do you even need more alarms because you're just like, I've got it? Like,
Yeah, I don't think I need more alarms for the other times. I think I just need to figure out why I think there's so much riding on me being on time, to the different times, because honestly that's, you know, I was thinking like even when we were coming to your house on Wednesday and we got to your house like at 5 till 10 and I had to be on at 10. I
Yeah.
thought if my boss were doing this, she would not be stressed. She would be saying, I'll do Zoom in the car if I have to. It's fine.
Mhm.
The students will understand that
Mhm.
things happen. Um, and I think that that's just maybe more of like personality and also, like past experience. But I think allowing myself the grace that, you know what, if something happens and I have to figure out how to do Zoom on my phone for work, then that's fine. It obviously works. I can do it.
Well, and too, I think it's so like all of her thoughts with a different personality are available to you too. Like you could just decide, like, I'm just gonna think like Barb and it's fine. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, because I think you feel like the pressure is coming from like the timing all throughout the day, but the pressure is really coming from your thought of like, I can't be late, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the like rushing through things and feeling distracted and being grumpy and frustrated about like, what if the traffic, everything, and catastrophizing like
Right.
isn't coming from like, I have to be someplace 5 times this day. It's
Right.
coming from, I can't be late to these times. And
Mm-hmm.
especially feeling that extra, like, I can't be late because someone is registered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, you're right. Somebody else could just be like, yeah, I have to be there. I'll be there. It's fine. It's whatever. Like, I
Right.
have my alarm set and I always show up on time, except for that one time. And
Mhm.
I have a good track record. I trust myself. Or somebody could be like even more anxious and have a different thought of just like, I'm just gonna sit on Zoom all day because I don't want to do anything, right? Like, so there's so many different options available, but it really just comes down to your thought of like, I can't be late.
Mhm.
Because that's creating the result of I don't allow myself to enjoy my time.
Mhm. Right. And I don't want to go through a whole school year of not enjoying my time every Wednesday, like I really don't. And so I think that is part of it would be helpful to just have that, like that realization that I can be on time. It just might not look like me sitting in front of my laptop with my book. It might look like me being in the car stuck in traffic, but I'm on Zoom, I'm on time, I'm checking my
Your book's
thing.
next to you. Yeah. Um, and I think it's interesting too that like um you yeah are feeling so like rushed that you're not allowing yourself to enjoy your time and
Mhm.
like this is every Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I had a different thought and I forgot what it was. I think it was just about like catastrophizing and oh, I remember what it was. I feel like if you just changed it to like what you're saying your boss would think of like it's no big deal. I feel
Mhm.
like correct me if I'm wrong because I'm putting words in your mouth, but I feel like you would be like, but if I think it's no big deal, I'll be late, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If I see
Um
text. Yeah, I'm even just sitting here thinking like, okay, kind of like, so worst case scenario, I totally don't show up for a Zoom call. A student has registered and I'm not there and they got on and I wasn't there. Um, there is a way for me to email them and say, would you like to set up another time? And on my own time, like a different day, I could set up a time that's convenient to them and do the tutoring then. And like all is not lost. It's not like, they're going to fail their test because I didn't. So I think I need to think that through that too, that like if the worst would happen and I would totally forget and a student was waiting for me, I can still email them and apologize and tell them, what happened um and set up another time, So I think that's good to realize too that it's not this has to
you're
be
not
just
getting fired automatically or like written up even necessarily. Yeah. Um so I'm curious what you think about like thinking I have a good track record, so it's no big deal. Really, that's two thoughts kind of strung together, but
Mhm.
like, what would you need to add to it's no big deal to make
Mhm.
it like believable for you?
Mhm. I think um I think something like, I'll make sure that my students get what they need, so it's no big deal, like, because I will not, like, I still feel like I'm an instructor, and I wouldn't just say, "Oh, I couldn't get to class on time, so I'm just not going to teach you today." Or I would still make sure they got what they needed if I had to record a lecture, or if I had to. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, if for some reason I didn't have internet and my phone, I don't, the worst
Right.
thing, there's still a way to, make the situation okay. And
Mm-hmm.
fulfill my obligation, I guess, to help a student. So I think something like, um, I am, I will be sure to make sure my students get what they need. So it's no big deal if I'm 3 minutes late, or if if something happens, whatever happens, um,
Yeah.
because I know that about myself. I will do that.
Right. You actually believe that. So, right. Then, so how would you feel if you're, getting to my house and it's 9:55, but you think, I'll make sure my students get what they need. How does that feel?
Yeah, that feels good, because then I know, even if, it takes, something happens and I can't connect to Wi-Fi or whatever, like, I know that even if I would get on and they were already gone, if they had registered, I would email them, and say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm available if you're free, whatever. And if you're not, let me know when you are, and I'll make that right," or whatever, you know? Yeah.
Because you do have a good track record. It's just like changing just how Wednesdays have to be, right? They don't have to be rushed and like full of stress and pressure. Like it just depends on what you decide you want to think.
Right.
And like I'm sure it will come up again because it's very memorized of like, I can't be late, somebody's waiting for me.
Right.
But you just get to decide what you want to think about that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be much easier when I have that thought of like, "Oh, I can't be late," to say, "Well, you will make sure that your students get what they need, so it's okay," like, and that, I think, will kind of calm my brain down and go, "Oh, that's right. I remember that."
And it doesn't have to change your actions at all. Like you can still totally show up on time
Right.
being calm.
Right.
And like pressure isn't the only feeling that will create, I show up on time, I make sure my students get what they need. Like you can do that calmly too. By thinking like, I'll make sure it happens, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, well, thanks for getting coached.
Sure.
Um, Danielle, do you want to get coached? I see a little munchkin running around, but
Yeah, I mean, we'll do our best here.
yeah,
So,
I was telling her that Remy might wake up around 2 anyways. We'll
okay.
see. Hopefully
Yeah.
she'll just stay asleep.
Um,
Go
yeah,
for
he
it.
should be sleeping. Anyways, I was thinking, so it's more, I don't know, like for me to help Melanie.
Okay.
So she is having, she gets to school and she's fine. Okay. But the night before, always, "Mommy, I don't want to go to school," which she's like last year, she never said that.
Okay.
"I don't want to go to school. I'm feeling nervous." And I'll say, "Well, why are you feeling nervous?" Or, "I'm feeling scared," or, "I'm feeling worried." And I'll say, "Why?" And she'll say, "Because I won't be able to see you there." And then she's upset too because, so Gary takes her in the mornings because it's like on his way to work, which is new. I always took her to school last year.
Okay.
And then Jack and I pick her up.
Okay.
So I'm trying to, actually the first time she said it, I like almost lost it and started crying because I was like, "Oh, my baby." But and this, but now I'm fine. I hate that she's saying it, but I don't feel overly emotional about it anymore. But I struggled with that as a kid too. Like I'd be like, "I don't want to go to dance," and then I'd be fine once I got there. And so I just want to try to figure out like maybe some ways to help her work through those thoughts and feelings, I guess, and how to keep myself on the right track with her in that way, I guess.
What do you feel like the right track would look like?
Like getting her, like helping her to feel confident and safe that she wouldn't be saying that to me every night on the nights before school.
Should she not feel nervous every night before school?
No, I don't. I guess that's not fair. No, she's allowed to feel whatever she wants to feel.
Okay. So, but you want to be like on the right track and showing up how you want to like be as a mom, right? So what would that look like for you to be on the right track with helping her with this?
Like me staying calm, me being reassuring to her, and maybe helping her work through some of that fear so that she does feel more confident.
So how old is she again?
She's 4.
She's 4. Okay. And
She'll
does
be
she go
5
to
days
school
in January.
5 days a week or just 3 or 4?
3.
Or 3?
3
Okay.
days. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 to 3.
Okay. And so every night before, she's always saying, I don't want to go to school. I'm nervous. I'm afraid, some version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And she can feel whatever she wants to feel, like you said.
Yeah.
But why do you feel like it's a problem for her to be feeling nervous?
I just don't want her to, like, I see those anxious tendencies in her that I had, and I want to help her work through those earlier on in life rather than later.
Okay. So one of the things that is kind of like, I don't know, the loosey-goosey side of thought coaching or something, I don't know, is the working through feelings part of things, right? So, one of the exercises that I do sometimes is talking through, like really getting into your body about how a feeling feels. Because I think for a really long time, I always felt like feelings were just like in your mind, but they're really not. They're in your body. And like we talked about last night a little bit, like your feelings come from your thoughts, right? And with a 4-year-old, it is pretty hard in my experience to nail down like what thought is creating the feeling of nervous for her. But and maybe it even is like what she said of like, I won't be able to see you.
Yeah, I won't be able to see mommy. Yeah.
So something though that can help adults and kids like feel their feelings is talking through like what the feeling feels like. So like, where do you feel it in your body? Like, do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your hands? Like, what part of you feels nervous? Like, where do you feel the nervousness? And then like, what color is the nervousness? And when I've done this with my son who's 4, he sometimes creates like, it's a vehicle racing. Because then my next question is like, is it a fast feeling or a slow feeling? Because really it's kind of just like that vibration in your body of like, is it a fast, frantic thing or slow? So when I asked that, I think that made him think of a vehicle. So he's like, it's a yellow car zooming around in my heart. Like, and so, yeah, it's not, it is tricky to teach kids like all of the tools that they need to change their thoughts. And
I just feel like she has like 0 right now. So
she has 0 tools. We can start with something. Yeah. So yeah, like as adults, we can think about like, okay, well, how do I want to feel? And is this like thought believable to help me just choose what I want to think and choose what I want to feel? But even 4-year-olds get the idea of like choices. But I think also kids are so great at feeling their feelings and then they eventually start learning like, no, I should not feel this way, or I should not like let myself be angry, or I should not let myself be sad because it's disruptive, or whatever kids start thinking about it, right? So I do think it's important to emphasize, like you said, of like, you can feel whatever you want to feel, and like feelings don't, like, feelings do come and feelings also go too, right? Like and I think the more that, even just as adults, we like, does it feel like you're like holding the door shut on the feeling of like, I don't want to feel angry right now, so it's just like, just go away? Or are you like doing that processing of like, okay, what color is it? How fast is it? Where do I feel it? And just like letting your body feel the feeling can help it just process and go through without resisting it. Because I teach like social emotional skills at work, and we talk about my favorite thing, by the way, is pizza breath. If you want to get a kid to take a deep breath, it's smell your pizza. Oh, it's so hot. Blow on your pizza. And like it like works a little bit better than like flour sometimes, or whatever. But
that's what we do. Blow out the birthday candles.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Yeah, but it combines it all in one picture.
I like that.
But sometimes I feel like the tools that we teach kids are like how to compartmentalize and not feel that feeling right now, rather than just like how to feel it and let it go through.
That's what I want her to be able to move through that feeling and know that she's going to come out okay on the other side, I guess. And then because it's causing problems in the morning too, because then she'll be like, I don't want daddy to take me, and then she's like crying as she's going out the door, whereas like she wasn't doing that the first couple days. Like she was so excited. So it's just interesting that this is the new thing, I guess.
So how does it make you feel when she's crying going out the door?
Oh, I hate it. I feel just I get sad, I guess.
You get sad, you said?
Yeah.
I get sad. So do you feel like that is a problem, or do you feel like, okay, this is just how this is going, it's fine? Like,
I mean, right now it's fine, but if it's going on in a month from now or 2 months from now, then I'm going to feel like it's a problem, I think. I don't. Do I know if that's the case? I don't, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's becoming I feel like it's almost becoming like a habit at this point versus, is that like what she's truly feeling? Because she's a little expert manipulator. Like, maybe if I just cry enough, then mommy will take me to school,
Right.
So we try not to give in to those things. It's like, nope, this is daddy's taking you. This is what it is. Like,
because that's when it does become manipulative. If it's like, well, this is the steps I have to follow to get what I want, and like my parents will give in to me, and like, yes. I'm gonna grab Remy real quick, and then she'll be running around here. 1 second.
Oh, goodness.
All right. So we actually got an hour-long nap. Yes.
Yay.
So you feel like it's like, okay, sure, we're getting used to school. She's sad going out the door. She's sad that things change, that daddy's taking her. But you don't want it to like become a habit.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could like do a model on like it's happening now, or just come back in a month and see what's happening then. But would you want to talk through just like how you are feeling in the evening or in the morning, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So which one do you feel like is do you feel sad in the evening as well, or are those kind of different scenarios?
I think the morning is worse because like then I'm feeling like, oh no, she's gonna have a bad day at school and she's not gonna want to go back, and then I'm worried, I'm worried then about her day.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So she's crying going out the door, and then you think she's going to have a bad day and feel worried. So
Yeah.
what do you do when you're feeling worried? Like, what does the worry look like for you?
I think it's more of just like internally, thinking about, I'm not gonna lie, usually by the time Jack and I get moving and going, that's out of my head because now I've got tiny human demanding all of my attention.
Yeah.
But I think just in those initial moments, it's I might feel heavy. I might feel like my body might feel heavy. I might feel like I'm gonna cry. I might catastrophize of like, did we make the right choice? Those types of things.
And you said you like worry she's not going to want to go back. Okay. Yeah. And so it sounds like externally you do just like, okay, we're just doing the day.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you resist the urge to cry, or do you feel like it's just like not as strong that you have to cry?
Yeah, it's not as strongly. Sometimes I do resist. I will resist sometimes though. That's like gotta look
and so you say you catastrophize that she's not going to want to go back. Is there anything else that you like worry catastrophize there?
No, I think that's the big one. Yeah. Like it's gonna be, it's just gonna be a struggle the whole year. And
is there anything else that you're like questioning of like, did we make the right choice?
Well, yeah, because we pulled her from her other preschool to go to this one because it was full day. Because her other one is like 2 hours, that she was at. But we felt like if she was gonna go to school full time, then she needed to get used to those full days. Because we still go back and forth between homeschool and this private Christian school that she's at right now.
And does this pop up for you as you go on throughout the day? Like if there is a quiet moment, or is it kind of just that one moment?
Sometimes more as I get closer to, like, I know when their lunchtime and their like nap, their rest time is and stuff. My brain will go back there during those times.
Okay. So you have Melanie in school. She's 4 years old, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday through Friday, full day 8 to 3. And she's been crying when she's going out the door and saying, I don't want daddy to take me. And so that makes you think, she's going to have a bad day and feel worried. And kind of I'll just internally feel like she's not going to want to go back, and like, did we make the right choice, and question yourself. You feel like crying but resist crying, and your brain kind of floats back to it when you know what they're doing rest time, or you know that they're doing lunch time.
Because I know she doesn't like the rest time. So I'm like, okay, well, if I just would have sent her half days, we wouldn't be worried about this.
Okay. So you're kind of worrying about her not having a good time. Yeah. So the result that I see for this is I give myself a bad day. And like you said, it's not the whole day, but when you're thinking that moment is creating a bad moment for you.
Correct.
What do you think about that?
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
And like we were saying, like it doesn't it's not terrible to like be sad.
No.
And sometimes you just have to feel sad. But do you feel like this is like a problem that you don't want it to be going like this? Or do you feel like this is just like, yep, sometimes life is hard? It's like that 50-50 thing that we talked about one time. I'm just like, sometimes it's not great.
No, I have a hard time with that 50-50. Like, I'd like it to be more 80-20.
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
But yeah, no, it feels like a problem to me. Like that somehow I'm getting off on the wrong track, like of like, but I cannot, I mean, nobody's happy 100% of the time. I shouldn't expect my child to be.
Well,
Which
and
like
that's
I'm fine when she's like annoyed that she's not getting what she wants or she's throwing a tantrum. Like those don't really bother me. It's like
okay.
when she's
Yeah.
sad, that
Yeah.
bothers me.
Okay. So it feels like, yes, she is allowed to have a 50-50 life, but only these specific emotions that are like acceptable for humans to have to go through. But sad and worried, like, I don't want her to have to experience that. That's not
Yeah.
how life should be, right? And it's kind of arguing with reality a little bit.
It is. I think my husband and I are both like, we both have struggled with anxiety and me with depression, and we're both just like, we want that generational curse, we feel like, broken.
So is it possible for you to break that generational curse?
Me, no.
Okay. So what is the like harm or damage? Like it seems like you feel like having some negative emotions like frustration that she's not getting where she wants. I'm like putting words in your mouth, but just
No,
kind of reading between the lines. Some negative emotions are like constructive, but then feeling sad or nervous, that could be destructive. And
yeah,
that's what you're worrying about.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like is the like potential damage that anxiety can do for her?
Make her just not enjoy life at all and feel like I don't ever want her to get to the point where we are, where it has caused daily life to be difficult at different times.
Okay. So you want so why should her daily life not be difficult?
By difficult, I mean like you cannot function. Like it's okay for life to be hard, but I don't want it to get to a point where like, oh, now I'm paralyzed, I can't get out of bed, constantly living with negative thoughts, panic attacks, those types of things.
Okay. So why should she not have to experience that?
Because it's awful.
Okay. So you want to protect her from the awful, right? Okay.
Yeah. I want her to have coping mechanisms so that it never gets to that point.
Okay. What would be the worst case scenario if it did, like, is that the worst case scenario in your mind, that like not having panic attacks, not being functional?
Yeah, like needing, psychiatric help, those types of things, like to the point where like we would have to help take care of her as an adult.
So why should she not have to experience that? Why would that be the worst case scenario?
Traumatic trauma.
Okay. So she shouldn't have to experience any trauma?
Not that kind of trauma.
Okay. Once again, kind of there's like, this is okay, but this one's not okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it sounds like it's specifically not okay because you've gone through it and know how awful it is.
Yes.
In your words, it's awful.
Yes.
I believe you also said a different coaching time that you feel like you're stronger for it.
Yes.
Okay. So should she not ever experience trauma and turn out stronger?
No, probably not.
But as parents, it's like, but I just wish I could protect her and like not ever.
Yeah.
So I guess then the question is it possible that the feelings that you feel like are destructive could also be just as constructive as being frustrated and, not getting her way? And what do you think about that?
Yeah, they could, in the sense of like, okay, let's learn how to deal with these things because they're going to happen.
Well, and that's the thing, they're going to happen, but
Yeah.
you are kind of arguing with reality of like, no, but they shouldn't happen. So like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
then you also just said they're gonna happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think
It's the
the whole
severity that I worry about. It's like everybody gets
say
anxious.
that maybe
Yeah.
everybody feels sad, but like,
Yeah.
right. Depression is a different story.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I think the 50-50, right,
Mm-hmm.
is really almost freeing as a parent to not feel like you have to make your child's life 80-20.
Right.
So I think when we try to like argue with it of like, no, like we have so many like wonderful things here and like we are so blessed that like it has to be 80-20, that actually like puts too much pressure, or like it makes us as the parents like a bigger deal than we actually are.
Right.
That you can't change, just like there is a balance in life of like good things happen, bad things happen, and trying to avoid negative feelings and kind of like I was saying, like hold the door shut on them, like doesn't serve, because it doesn't allow them to process then
Right.
and get through to the other side. And so maybe the right track for you is just allowing the negative feelings and not putting so much pressure on yourself to like make sure she has a great day.
Right. Yes.
Because when you do, then the result you're creating is like, I give myself a bad day in that moment when you're thinking
Yep.
like she's not gonna have a good day.
Yeah.
And your sadness feels like it's coming from her crying and her saying like, I don't want to go with daddy. But like a different, cold-hearted mom, no, just kidding, would be like, she'll be fine. She always is, like, and not feel sad at all,
Yeah.
So it's an optional thought. You can think like she's not going to have a good day. She's going to have a bad day.
But even if she did, okay, whatever, I'm here to pick up the pieces. Like,
right. Yeah. And like, I think that just takes the pressure off of you and off of her to just like always be happy, right? Like, yep, we're here for the sadness, we're here for the nervousness, like, and it definitely sounds like you're doing that at nighttime of just like, yep, like sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're nervous, like,
yeah. I think it's the fact that like she's going out the door and like I have to like, okay, Gary's got to deal with it now,
yeah, and just like let go of the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No,
but yeah, you can't control how he handles it. You can't control how she handles it.
Yep.
You can just control if you are, dwelling on that and catastrophizing and like giving yourself a bad day in those moments, or like taking a deep breath and just accepting that like bad days happen for us and our kids. Like, and that, if there weren't any bad days, then you just wouldn't even know that there are good days, right? Like,
right. Yep.
It's the like cheesy stereotype thing, but
No,
it is
it
a thing. Like,
it is true. Yep. I need to write that down. Bad days happen for us and our kids.
yeah,
That needs to be the new thought.
you can choose to think that. Yeah, it's an option. It's all available.
Yep.
Well, perfect
was very
timing because
helpful.
I think I'm running out of little girl's patience here.
And we have to go get in the car to pick up Melanie. So
Perfect. Well, thanks for getting coached, and I will see you next time.
yeah, bye.
Bye.